Since I'm an old dude, I'd actually rather talk about a bowl game against Oklahoma, but that's how we think. We actually embrace the bowl season, like the bowl games, but since they're basically scrimmages at this point, according to what I hear from everybody else, it's about that transfer portal. We'll dig into it here at Seminoles Live right here at the Voice of College Football. We've got, we got everyone here. I love these nights. Jason Parker down in some Cheez-Its. He loves the Cheez-Its.
Awesome.
He vowed his dedication to the show and his loyalty to the show by purchasing Cheez-Its. But when you love the Cheez-Its anyway, Jason, that doesn't really prove a point.
Oh, I was just hungry. I just stopped.
Okay.
That's all.
Logan Robinson, Noel Game Day, and of course, big game, James Coleman, fifth quarter college football, 36 degrees, and a number of other platforms all over the place.
No need to mention that other collective. We got a new collective coming in that's kicking ass. I can't wait for
that. We'll ask you about that then.
Oh no, I'm saying I don't know anything. I'm not affiliated. I was just saying no more Mikinoki. 18.
Okay. I will take that off the banner.
Real quick, guys.
I can't keep track of your
no free pub, baby. You got to write a check. I'm on my Deion right now.
I have an important question for both James and Logan. Favorite Cheez-It flavor. What is your favorite Cheez-It flavor?
White cheddar.
Yeah. Logan.
Isn't there a garlic one? Is there a garlic one? I don't know. I don't eat a lot of chips and Cheez-Its, I'll be honest with you. I don't. I'm not a big snacker. I'm a mealer. 3 big meals a day.
You better get your snack. Get your snack on by December 29th.
I know. I'll get them when we arrive, I guess. I'll get whatever they supply us, media people. We'll eat as much Cheez-Its as there is, but
you're going to get a box.
Not on my free time.
You're going to get a box of Cheez-Its with the Cheez-It Bowl logo, the Florida State logo, the Oklahoma logo. It'll be personalized with your name on it.
Shoot, that might be something we put in the background.
I'm just saying.
Nice.
Guys, can we all take a collective deep breath for one moment about something very important with the Florida State Seminole football team? Jordan Travis is coming back. Jordan Travis is coming back. I spoke to his family at the Florida game. They told me this was going to happen. He finally made it official this week. Guys, I'm ecstatic about it. I think it's a great thing that can happen for the 2023 Seminoles. You guys don't seem as excited as I am. Cheez-Its for all. Cheez-Its for all. Jordan's coming back.
Trey told me a long time ago.
Right.
James Anthony Coleman, the third, is like the best on the beat, and all of the guys know him. Jordan told him he was coming back, so like, and he hung out with Jordan's brother and his dad and all this kind of other stuff. I'm like, I leave the kid for half a second, and the next thing you know, he's hanging out with Mike Norvell, talking to him about all kinds of stuff in Fuller. But like, I think I've said it on this show, but I've said it as many times as I can. Everybody's worried about recruiting. I think I said we were between 8 to 10 wins, but I was more on the 8 regular season. I was wrong. I should have been more optimistic. But I said we'll have a top 15 recruiting class. But the biggest thing that Mike Norvell is going to have to do is recruit all of the guys who are in the portal. Because once I found out that all of these guys had numerous years left, I was like, oh my God, if he can get 75% of this roster that's able to leave to stay, Florida State's going to be something in 2024. So kudos to Jordan Travis for seeing, worrying more about legacy than potential money right now. And I think we're going to have some more good news coming down the pipeline with Fabian Lovett, Jared Verse. I'm trying to think who else is big time, but basically Johnny Wilson
Benson,
and Trey
maybe.
Benson. Yeah.
Logan, question for you. I mean, we're talking about Jordan Travis, who threw for 2,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions through the air. He had over 3,000 yards, over 30 touchdowns total combined. So I'm going to put this out there. We've talked about this before. With those numbers, if Florida State can finish the season with 10 wins with a win over Oklahoma in the Cheez-It Bowl, does Jordan Travis start off next season as a potential Heisman candidate?
Potentially, he will be. He will be a Heisman candidate. He did that by returning, and just the way that he played this season was a big time improvement from what we saw last season. Coach Tokars did a great job, but just to see him turn into a leader, a guy making plays that kept Florida State in games. He's been doing that all throughout his career, but more as a pivotal way this season, just the way that he was able to be a true dual threat quarterback. And he was really a threat with his arm this year. Seeing those stats and the way that he was connecting with some of his receivers, then, defenses had to plan also for his run game talents. And, I think over the last month and a half, there was a turn, and, with NIL coming out, from what I was hearing, a really nice package set up for Jordan Travis to make a return to Florida State, and a high six-figure deal. That's the perks of having the NIL now. You can bring back your star quarterback, and then what that does is also entail having star players on the outside and in your backfield, most likely potentially make a return. We'll see if we'll get some announcements this week. I think it'll be sooner rather than later for a lot of these guys. But Jordan Travis will be in that Heisman conversation as we get into after the postseason, all throughout the offseason. Florida State has a chance to bring back some star players, and on the offense, I think everybody's on the same page here. We saw Micah Pittman. Not a lot of us were expecting Johnny Wilson or Micah Pittman to really go anywhere. Those guys will be back, and then you're primarily looking at Trey Benson, which I think that's now your starting running back. I know Trayshawn Ward. Those are just two different type of backs, but I think Trey Benson has deserved the right to be the starter there, or claimed as the name there, and taking that starting role. But I think there's some true, really good optimism that you'll see Trey Benson for Florida State in 2023 also.
Yeah, this team, this program is on the rise. There's no question about that. This bowl matchup is a mismatch. But and I know people aren't caring about that, but as we move into 2023, James said it, not a lot of teams are able to retain a quarterback at the level of Jordan Travis and get another year out of him. And then with everybody else coming back, wow, this is going to be interesting.
I think there's been a lot of buy-in too, and you saw it with these games, and we saw the switch. I think it was at Louisville where this team, we really saw the maturity grow, and Florida State has a chance of getting 10 wins, and they don't care who in the hell they're playing in this bowl game. Their main goal, and it's been that way since after the Florida game, that they're on a mission to get double digits in the win column this season, and that's just something Florida State hasn't seen going back all the way to 2014. A lot of guys after that 2013 season instantly looking at, they're getting all the national attention. They're getting the projected drafts and everything like that, the mock drafts and their names being high on there. And they're being more, maybe a little bit more thinking about themselves rather than the team overall. And that started in 2014. And then since then, there hasn't really been a fight to, put this program back on the map and be in contentions to make big bowls. They were trying their hardest to make an Orange Bowl. Clemson can't take care of South Carolina, and that game where at home they can't beat Shane Beamer. That's a whole different conversation. But Florida State would be going into an Orange Bowl. North Carolina slipping up near the last little bit of this season. Florida State's in competition to be the top ACC team. Definitely, if there wasn't any divisions like there is right now going into next year. But this team is bought in, and they're practicing hard. They like being around one another, and I think that's just the way that Mike Norvell has been trying to do it with the locker room. These guys love everything about playing with their teammates and their coaches right now. It helps that you're getting wins, but this team likes being there, and I don't think it was too hard to sell a lot of guys, including Jordan Travis, on coming back. There was a lot of talk over the offseason about, this would be it. He's had too much college time. He's going to be gone. I never thought that to be the case. I thought Jordan Travis would have to put together 2 good years, and then you have the potential to move on and get a potential in the draft. But he put on a really good season this year. You got to have another one, and then I think he really could have a chance in getting drafted, which would be humongous for Florida State in a lot of different ways, including recruiting.
Logan, why'd you have to bring that up? Why'd you have to remind me that I have to cover Dabo Swinney for the next 3 weeks down here? Why? Why would
That's your choice. That's your choice.
You're a blessed individual.
Job choice.
It's good.
No, it's a blessed job.
Listen to some of those gems out of his mouth. Take those to heart.
They're great.
Oh, he literally did the press conference after they got announced on his plane, on his private jet, going to do his recruiting. And his answers were just the typical used car salesman. I need him to go away. I also need
I want to
Love
know.
Dabo Sweeney. For the record, I'm a big Dabo Sweeney guy. That doesn't mean the guy doesn't beat his kid, and we'll find that out tomorrow. And then I'll say, I didn't know that. But yes,
I just don't understand why he doesn't want to be successful. Like, because, and I mean this in the utmost, actually with the utmost disrespect, because DJ Ukulele is not any good, or whatever his name. And you lost 2 games with him. We saw him put in a number 2 quarterback who hadn't sniffed 1 reps, and that offense immediately looked better. Like, what is wrong with you? Like if he would have done a good coaching job, I'd be getting ready to go to South Beach. I don't blame Florida State for losing 3 in a row. I blame Dabo Sweeney for not doing his job to get the ACC representation in the college football playoffs by not playing, Club of Nick or whatever, Cade, whatever the kid's name is. That kid is amazing. I hope he hits the transfer portal. He should transfer because of coaching malpractice. He doesn't deserve this. I also don't want to see that kid next year. But the point is that I don't understand Dabo or why he was so hell bent on playing DJ.
It's because God's plan is to make me have to work and test my patience come December 30th inside Hard Rock Stadium.
it'll be good for you.
That's God's plan there.
And again, listen to Dabo a little bit.
No,
listen to him. You may learn something. You may be inspired.
I'm not trying to buy a Toyota Corolla. I don't have time to listen to this stuff. I also had to go put the Cheez-Its away. Otherwise, I was going to eat that whole damn box. So the Cheez-Its have left the scene.
So we got Jordan Travis coming back, but we got a lot of other guys not coming back. And the one that jumps out to me is, of course, Amari Gaynor. So what's going on there?
Yeah, Logan, this was your guy from Childs High School. What are your thoughts on that one? It's a
dealt with some injuries this year, put him behind on the depth chart pretty early on. You saw, obviously, Tatum Bethune. He was going to be in a starter right away coming from UCF. Then you had, Kalen DeLoach make his rise last year and then continue to do the same thing this season. And then you got DJ Lundy there. Brendan Gant came in and played well for some guys that were injured throughout the season. I think Amari is just looking for one more year, another opportunity elsewhere. He's got some connections with a few programs and the staff that they're putting together in different areas. But whenever he came in, that, one of his downfalls was in coverage and, getting eaten alive at some times. And that just comes with it. That's what puts you behind on that depth chart. And, Florida State would like to keep him around, I think, definitely for depth reasons. But right now he's not going to start over those 3 that are ahead of him that all are returning next season. I know we haven't heard an official thing, well, not from Tatum Bethune, but we heard it from Kalen DeLoach. Obviously, DJ Lundy will be making return, but you're just not going to beat anybody in that room right now and start over them for a guy that, kind of has some inconsistencies. But there was times this year where he had some flashes, but we only got to see him for a few games. So it's not a brutal loss, but Florida State is looking at true freshman Omar Graham Jr. to step up in this next season, who I'm really, really excited for. One of the smartest players on the team, and there's a reason why he's going to be jumping pretty quickly into getting playing time in 2023. So not a huge player loss on the field, but a guy that's been around for a very long time, and I think he'll get an opportunity elsewhere. It's not going to be a big major name school, but he'll get an opportunity.
Logan and James like to throw on their connections. My connection with Tatum Bethune, spoke to him at Friday's game. I think we're going to be hearing some very good news. If you're a Florida State fan and you like Tatum Bethune, you're going to be hearing some very.
Where are you talking to him at? What are you doing? Are you on the sideline filming them?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the Cheez-It Man. The Cheez-It Man has connections down here. We've got our people. You've got your connections. James Anthony Coleman's got his connections. We've all got our own connections. All right, bud?
I just really believe that I don't think anybody's just bouncing. Nobody's draft stock is as good as the season was. Nobody's draft stock is like pushing them toward get there. And shout out to was it Battles In? Is that what the name of it is? Because I mean, listen, we get they go on John Ruiz, baby John Ruiz. They're not John Ruiz like braggadocious yet, but Ingram could be that. So like Ingram has the potential to be able to talk his trash. So like they're doing a good job. But going back to the Amari Gaynor, Amari is I think Amari is a victim of of too many coaching shifts. So when Jimbo and them had him in there, and if you go back and you look at his high school film was full of him coming off the edge of outside linebacker and literally lighting quarterbacks up. And they didn't. Then Jimbo leaves. Then Taggart comes in, and they run two different defenses with Taggart. They run a 4-3, then they try to go to a 3-4, and which I think he would have been okay in the 3-4. But then when Fuller came in, they shifted to a 4-2-5. And they tried to make him an inside backer, and he's just not an inside backer. That's a whole nother world right there. And I think that's where the struggles came in. But I think he's somebody that, if he gets an opportunity, he finds the right fit in the right system. You can still see him get an opportunity to get some coffee or some Powerade, I should say, in the NFL. So very good kid, phenomenal family, hard worker, incredibly smart, and it's a reason why Coach Norvell had such high marks and quote tweeted him when he left. I thought that was very classy as well.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be sticking around throughout the bowl game too. So he and Keyshawn Helton, who also hit the transfer portal, veteran wide receiver, who was big in helping that culture change. There's a reason, he didn't play this year, kind of dealing with some injury stuff, but the primary reason I think the staff wanted to keep Keyshawn Helton in the locker room just because of the way that he represents himself, along with being a true leader. When you think of a leader on FSU's team, Keyshawn Helton is one of the biggest ones. Doesn't get talked about a lot just because he doesn't have a lot of playing time like guys, vocal leaders like Fabian Lovett, Derek McGlynn, and some other guys. But Keyshawn Helton, a pivotal factor in helping Mike Norvell, proceed with giving out that message and building the climb there. Just a good kid. Wish him all the best. We talked about him this offseason, just a guy you want to keep in that locker room, and Mike Norvell did that. And there's a reason why you're seeing Mike Norvell tweet about a few of these guys that are intending on leaving his program. They're leaving on good terms, but Keyshawn Helton deserves a lot of credit to what happened with that locker room changing, which was the number one step that they needed to take in order to get to a chance of getting the 9 wins, potential 10 wins, making this turnaround.
So from a football standpoint, no real losses that you guys are concerned about that are going to make an impact?
The part that gives me, I'll actually give FSU a compliment on this one is, and you guys can touch on this one a little bit. I'm surprised at the lack of high-profile names. Obviously, yes, we're 9-2. That's a different issue. But you're talking about other big-name programs, including Clemson, including other schools that had big names already announced they're going in the portal. It surprised you that Florida State has. I would argue so far the biggest name would be Gaynor. So far,
I think one that might kind of would be a hit. I think a talented guy, younger player, Sidney Williams, deciding to go today too. Saw him last year, and we saw tons of flash. A guy that came down hard, physical player, was in the right times at the right times everywhere. We saw the bright future ahead going into 2022, and then dealing with injury throughout camps. And then we don't see him much at all this season, primarily on special teams. You would like to have him in the safety room, or, they moved him down to linebacker this year, but really didn't get to see him play that just because we saw Kalen DeLoach and Tatum Bethune take a lot of that with DJ Lundy. But, I feel like that could hurt them a little bit here. I thought pretty highly of Sidney Williams, just watching him at practice too, a guy that works very hard. Just, maybe not feeling the position change. I liked him more at the safety position, but I think the rise of Shaheem Brown is what kind of did this here. You had Jarquez McClellan too also come in as a transfer, but really I think it was Shaheem Brown. But no matter what, though, you're going to lose Jamie Robinson. I'm keeping an eye on Akeem Dent and what he can do here because, I was expecting a way bigger season out of Dent. He, near the latter half of the season, dealt with injury. I projected such a bigger season from Dent, but if you lose those two, then you're pretty thin there at that safety position. So Sidney Williams is probably the one right now where I'm like, dang, that kind of stinks there for at least the future-wise of 2023, in my opinion. Talent. I thought he had some talent.
I think it's also about what is Clemson? So Clemson's done a really good job of recruiting. So they have established cultures. It's kind of what I laugh about when people keep saying, "Oh, the transfer portal is hurting high school recruiting." And I did it on my show today. And what I did was I put up the 247 team rankings. And you want to know what's consistent when you pull up the 247 team rankings? They're all about all the top teams, or most of the schools are about 20, between 19 to 24 commits, meaning they're signing the same amount of high school kids as they would sign on any other given year. But you do have a lot of guys who are currently at colleges being pushed into the portal. So with a Clemson, with your Alabamas, with your Georgias, they have to make room. Even if you just sign 25 a year, which used to be the minimum, 25, 25, 25, 25. 25 times 4 is 100. Even if you sign 25 every year, you have to move out 15. Whether they go early to draft or whether they graduate, no matter how it works, you have to move guys out. So the transfer portal isn't doing anything but giving us publicize what's always happened. Now, Alabama just happens to have 4-star, 5-star on top of 5-star. If you've been there 2-3 years and you ain't playing, you got to get moving. Or, you know, and I think that's just, we don't have that depth at Florida State, that we don't have that luxury yet. And I think it also comes to these guys genuinely like being around each other and playing, which is awesome. Like, you know, why not play one more year if you're not a guaranteed first round pick? So, and where you're going to transfer to, you're probably not going to have an opportunity to be a top 10 program in the start of the season, and being and now with the conference going the way that it's going, the top 2 teams playing the ACC championship, having a situation where if all you have to do is replicate this season, you should be in Charlotte playing Clemson for a second time.
James and Logan, question for you on the flip side that we see the guys who are entering the transfer portal from FSU. Who are some of the guys that Florida State may be going after who are in the transfer portal from other schools? What are some of the other names you may be hearing, or guys who you think Florida State should go after?
I mean, Jaheim Bell would be the guy who we should have probably taken as a freshman, but you know, it was a argument of, is he a wide receiver? Is he too big to be wide receiver? And he went on ahead and made tight end, and he was amazing his freshman and sophomore year. I have no idea what happened to him this year and why he was not used in the offense up there in South Carolina. But I think if you bring him here, and you that's a weapon that has to be accounted for. Also, forgive me his name, but the Division II guy from Shorter, 6'7", 250 pounds, really good athlete. That's another that's 2 weapons that you have at tight end that could put you in some personnel groupings that could probably you could probably take advantage of at Florida State against a lot of our opponents. The linebacker from UCF that has the relationship with Bethune, Daryl Jackson coming back home. That's a lot of guys that it's kind of cool because, again, we talked about depth, but we're in a position now where you do have so many guys coming back that are true starters that you kind of just find guys that kind of find pieces that just give you a little bit of depth. But I expect the defensive line to be overhauled similar to what Alex Atkins did to the offensive line in the last season. So between defensive tackle and defensive end, I expect us, between high school recruiting and the transfer portal, to bring in a lot of talent.
Yeah, I'd keep an eye on Daryl Jackson. There's some ties there with being close to Valdosta, his mom going through some medical stuff. So there's been some good smoke that there's a potential for a Miami flip, I guess you can say, to Florida State here. Something to keep a close eye on. And then, like you were talking about there with Bell, James, this, don't know what was going on there with South Carolina's offense and not utilizing him this much this season. He's got great stats, but the thing with him throughout his career, he's a playmaker. He's that hybrid wide receiver tight end, and that's something Florida State really hasn't had in a good long while. You've got the production of Cam McDonald, Mark Houston throughout the season, but it's not a game-changing tight end play. Bell is a game-changing tight end. That's a guy that can change the game for you. Florida State hasn't had that at the tight end position since Nick O'Leary, let's be honest. I mean, you can maybe bring up Izzo. That's about it. I mean, you haven't seen someone change the game for Florida State on offense at tight end. And Bell, and what Mike Norvell, as we've seen him do this year, is being a true play caller for FSU and not having to mix things in with Kenny Dillingham. your star players are going to make plays, and Mike Norvell will put them in positions to do that. Jaheim Bell could be one of those guys. So I think there's some optimism that they'll be getting him on campus very, very soon. Florida State now has the big time advertising factor of bringing back Jordan Travis. And I'm glad he announced that pretty quickly here early on before going in this bowl game to start using that to their advantage, because a lot of players and a lot of skilled players are going to want to come play for Jordan Travis. And they can also use Florida State staff can use, hey, we brought in Micah Pittman. We brought in Johnny Wilson, Trey Benson. Those guys end up being starters on this offense. You could come start right away in Tallahassee. So I don't think they have to do too much more. Definitely, if you're looking at the edge rusher position, there is going to be some names that pop up in that transfer portal soon where Florida State will be in that top 3 conversation for some of these guys just because of what they've been able to do and put on the field, including with what Jared Verse has done and may continue to do going into next year. We'll see.
Logan, I heard a rumor that Florida State will have success in the transfer portal if people hit the like button. Is that true?
Yeah, they will. They will. A lot of success. We did it 2 weeks ago. Told you if you hit the like button, Florida State was going to beat the Gators. Ended up happening. So hit the like button, and Florida State might bring in one of these big cats that they would like to have that could be some starters for next year. But yeah, hit the like button, share with your friends. Feels also good to be back here. I've been dealing with flu, all different kinds of things, but I'm just happy to be back. So hit that like button and keep an eye out. Jordan Travis just put out a post a few minutes ago saying that one more year in Tallahassee. He's partnered with the NIL group, The Battle's End. He said, stay tuned for more. So I am expecting something to happen tonight, and good news for Florida State.
Did we talk about the Colorado Alvin Salaman?
No, we have not noted on him. Okay. Nope.
Because we still got, again, it's fun when you feel like you actually have a shot at everybody. It's not as fun when you're like, oh God. And then what's great, because I'm only going to bring this up, Mark, because I think I've been relatively, I don't want to say tame, but I've been pretty cool. Like, Miami, Ruiz had his run and he was very braggadocious. The Lion Cuban Mario was doing his thing, but like them losing Rashida, them possibly losing McClain to Alabama. And with us having Bain probably coming up here this weekend and really having a good shot, I am really loving the fact that, we may end up being like, having one of the, not a better class, because I think they've got enough bodies, but I think we're going to have a class that's going to be competitive to where we can not only whoop that butt on the field, but retain our bragging rights, because there's not a Miami fan in the chat, on any channel, anybody that covers it, that's ready to put up money that they're going to lose next year and lose probably unmercifully. So I love the fact when Mike ran up the score. So hopefully we'll get a chance to do that a little bit more on and off the field.
James, you should come down here. The braggadocious nature of Miami fans is quite hysterical. I've literally had fans who have said, and I quote, "This year was a one-time thing. We will be back next year." Now,
technically, it was 2. Didn't we beat them 2 years in a row?
No, but just in general, they will be back. This losing season was a one-time thing, that they will be back. Now, mind you, Miami fans, we get it. We understand about brand loyalty. All of us are loyal to Florida State, but we are also honest to the cause. So just admit it right now to all your friends. Look at your fellow Miami friends and just admit it. You suck. It's okay. We sucked for several years. So just say it to yourselves. The University of Miami, you suck. Want some Cheez-Its?
At least when they suck, nobody's at the stadium watching them. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. At least they don't play in front of anyone when they suck. Florida State can play in front of them.
I will give them credit. The last 2 games, the Florida State game and the Pitt game, was so easy to get out. No traffic getting out of the stadium. Was a breeze. So it's great when their fans leave at halftime. It makes it a lot easier.
All right, Jason, what do you have going on? It's time to promote.
Oh, if we're going to promote, obviously, I'm going to promote the fact that the Miami Dolphins are on NBC this week as they take on the Los Angeles Chargers, trying to stay in the race for the AFC East. So make sure you watch your local NBC affiliate. We'll also have the Orange Bowl covered. We'll have the Cheez-It Bowl covered. We'll have the Military Bowl covered with UCF. Hell, we'll even cover the Las Vegas Bowl that's happening at 2:30 in the afternoon as Florida goes for another 6-7 season against Oregon State. It feels good knowing the fact that Florida State will be the only one of what used to be the Big Three with a winning record come December 18th after Florida loses to Oregon State. It feels good. Doesn't it feel good, guys, to know that fact? It feels really good. Logan, what's going on? Logan, what's going on over No Game Day? What's going on with No Game Day? Other than being shout out, actually, I want to give Logan a shout out because No Game Day was in the Miami Herald.
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know either. They must have, somebody must have told them, hey, this is reliable. I don't know.
Maybe that'd be crazy. That'd be craziness. But nothing too wild right now. Just taking care of transfer portal stuff, recruiting stuff, and then getting prepped for practices, which begin on Friday for Florida State's matchup with Oklahoma. And then we got our show tonight at 8. So we'll be talking about giving our opinions on who's staying, who's going, transfer portal targets like we've been talking about tonight. And then we're in the Discord. A lot of stuff going on in there right now. So highly suggest jumping in there. If you want to come in there and hang out with everyone. It's been very busy. That's the perks of the transfer portal now. It's a very busy place. So come on in there for free and come hang out with us.
James, tell us what's
in the Discord sometime.
Can we move on from that word? Let's move on from that word. We're moving on. James, tell us about the people who are paying you. What's going on with you?
Oh, actually, what's dope about the people who are paying me is I got 1 5th quarter. I need my check. So you get that, and I can basically moonwalk into the rest of the year because then I've got all my payments. I could just, but I do have we have a tailgate coming up here for the Cheez-It Bowl, so that's going great. I've never had a tailgate have this much excitement. So like we've got doesn't sound like much, but normally people sign up the week of, but we've got 50 people already paid in RSVP. We'll probably have 100 by this time next week. We're gonna up the price after Christmas. So if you want to get somebody a Christmas gift, all you can eat, all you can drink. All the proceeds go toward MFTK Foundation. And I got my Christmas, my gifts of good grades thing going on. Outside of that, man, I just need y'all to click the link. Go follow at BigGameJames_36 on IG, Twitter. I've been really blessed this past year. So, I can't really, I don't really, I mean, if you want to pay $5 to go to the 5th quarter and join our Discord, that'd be dope. I get paid off of that too, but I'm not going to beg you because
you too, James.
I'm happy.
You too, James. You're going to join this D-word battle?
I started the Discord thing, baby. We're the OGs with this. Everybody took our model, which I'm not hating because I think it's dope. But we basically our model kind of like changed the game, and I blame us for forcing. Well, now it's on 3 and 247 to make sure they have to step their game up and break news a little bit more. They're not as good at it as Logan is, who they've kind of taken the mantle and run with it. But at the same time, we do a lot of good work at 5th quarter. I'm proud of my guys.
And we're going to talk about the bowl games in a couple of weeks, but I want to get you guys a quick opinion on the Cheez-It Bowl. Obviously, Florida State playing Oklahoma for the first time since the 2011 season. This is not the same Oklahoma team. It's still a good Oklahoma team, but it's a 6-6 Oklahoma team coming in. They lost 3 of their last 4 games.
This is a mismatch.
I think it's a mismatch, too. I put my money on FSU for this one. But when those bowl selections came out and it came out that we were playing Oklahoma in the Cheez-It Bowl, what were your guys' initial thoughts on this? A little disappointed that we didn't maybe go to the Holiday Bowl, didn't go to the Gator Bowl, or what are your thoughts on this bowl game?
I don't care. I want to win 10 games. I don't care if you put us against the Florida Deaf and the Blind School. I want to win 10 games, 10 W's. Anytime you hit that field, it's an opportunity to win or lose. Yes, this Oklahoma team isn't as good as the past Oklahoma teams, but they still have had great recruiting classes the last few years. So there's going to be some guys out there playing for pride. There are some guys with the transfer portal, but I like Orlando. I didn't really want to fly to San Diego because then I would have to go cover the game. I wouldn't have any fun. I would have to be, doing a lot of other stuff. But Tampa, Orlando, I get to go hang out and chill out. I definitely didn't want to go to the Duke's Mayo Bowl. It's not even that it's a bad bowl. I just don't like – I like Duke's Mayo. I just don't like the fact that it's called the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Anything other than the Orange Bowl, I would say, is technically a disappointment. But from what I understand, with having friends who are in like the Florida Sports Foundation, my guy told me it was the Cheez-It Bowl. And he was just like, I'm telling you, you're going to the Cheez-It Bowl. And he was just like, the only way you won't go to the Cheez-It Bowl is if somehow Clemson sneaks into the college football playoff and there's an Orange Bowl open. But outside of that, everybody else is talking trash. the Cheez-It Bowl has basically said, we're going to go get you. And they said the similar thing for LSU if they got the opportunity, because all they're going to do is be able to show the city of Orlando, people get used to it, and then right back in a few months, we'll all be right back there on Church Street in Orlando, getting after it, having a good time, watching FSU repeat as SEC East champions. As we beat LSU, SEC West champions, as we beat LSU, and then they go on and destroy the rest of the West.
Did we already play the Florida School for the Deaf and Blind? Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was Miami. I apologize. Sorry. I get those two confused. I apologize.
They already did that. Messed up. No, I'm excited for it. I'm excited that it's just a big name. I'm excited for it. I don't really care who it is. I know some FSU fans wanted maybe a better opponent, and maybe there could have been some out there, but there was a lot of things with the ACC and Gator Bowl. Over there in San Diego, that bowl, Holiday Bowl, everything going on there. There's a lot of fighting to get Notre Dame, and then I think FSU's next there. But, I think this is a great one for FSU fans to take over Orlando. The last time they're down there, 2016, came away with the win against Ole Miss to kick off that season. They'll take over Orlando. Like you said, James, I know that there's a lot of hype going over to your tailgate. There's just going to be a lot of Seminoles down there. It's one of the biggest fan bases down there that hold FSU fans is Orlando. A lot of our traffic comes down from there, so it'll be fun to get and have a good time down in the Big O, enjoy a couple of days before New Year's Eve. So I know the opponent isn't so great at this time, but it is still Oklahoma. You're not going to think about their record or whatnot a year from now. You beat Oklahoma, you beat Miami, you beat Florida, you beat LSU all in the same season, and you get to say that and be proud of it. So I know we're already kind of giving our predictions here, but I think I'm on the same page as Mark. This one will not last too long, I don't believe.
I'm a little upset. I had Logan already down here. We had the cafe con leche ready. We had the lechon, we had the empanadas, we had the Latin women, we had a ready. We were ready for you down here in South Florida, Logan.
I was excited. Trust me. I was watching that Clemson South Carolina game, and once again, Dabo Swinney. There's another reason to hate him. He screws us over there, and would have been nice to enjoy a good chance here because everything else, all the other dominoes fell except for that one. So kind of screwed it.
Kind of pivoting for a moment and still in a way talking about Florida State. And I want to bring James. I want James's opinion more on this than anything, because there was a certain former alumni of Florida State University who was in the news this week. Deion Sanders, obviously leaving Jackson State after leading them to the SWAC title 12-0 season and going to Colorado. And there's a lot of opinions on both sides of the issue of it. Him leaving after saying, promoting HBCUs, and then leaving HBCU and going to a Power 5 school. So I wanted to get your opinion on this, James, because I guess my question is this, and I say this as a white Jew from South Florida. I guess I look at it like how he was somebody who was saying, promoting the HBCU culture, and then leaving in HBCU to go to a Power 5 school in Colorado, of all places. So some people are all calling him a hypocrite. I don't think it's a hypocritical move, but what are your thoughts on the move?
One is part for Deion's brand. Deion is about one person, and that's Deion. He's always been like that. People tell me like he's a Nole, you can't talk to a Nole like that, and I'm like, Deion is a Nole because he played at Florida State. But Deion is the same guy that in 2004 promised a whole bunch of us that he was coming back to help work with us and train with us after we had been besmirched and torn down for 2 hours after winning 10 games. And he never came back. But in 2005, he worked with Devin Hester, and his goal was to make Devin Hester the most dangerous return man in college football. The year that we played the University of Miami for the first game. He went down to Miami. He bypassed Tallahassee, Florida, to go into Miami. And there's no excuse for that. I have zero sympathy for guys who do that. But at the same time, I do have a professional respect. Deion is going to do whatever he needs to do to make himself be relevant and in the news. And I think there is the only obligation. So the only obligation that people have is to themselves and their family. The problem is, if that's how you lead, then nobody would be upset. But that's not how he led this situation. What he did, HBCUs are very proud institutions. I grew up on an HBCU. My mother went to Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. Before I knew about Florida State, I was crawling around FAMU's campus. I was selling programs at Bragg Memorial Stadium. I went to all the classics. I understand. I have family who work in athletics and do all these different things. I love HBCU ball. I would have went to an HBCU, but they didn't recruit me. Well, actually, that's a lie. Morehouse recruited me. And you know why? I can't remember the coach's name, but I went on a visit out of respect to a mentor of mine. And that coach had the greatest season that Morehouse had in 2001. And what I asked that coach, are you going to be here? And he told me, he's like, I can't promise you that I'm going to be here. It's about progression. I respected that man because he didn't lie to me. He could have easily said, I'm going to be here forever. I could have signed my scholarship and I could have been stuck at Morehouse when he went to Alabama State. There's nothing wrong with progression, but there is something wrong with taking an argument or a debate that's behind closed doors with African Americans. There's the HBCU versus the PWI. So obviously, I get it both ways, having grown up on an HBCU campus and gone to a PWI. HBCU African Americans feel like PWI African Americans feel like they're greater. PWI African Americans feel like HBCU African Americans feel like they're more black. It's a stupid ass argument that gets happened on social media far too often. And what Deion Sanders did was he took that argument and he took the heartstrings of those people and he sprinkled religion on it. And this isn't my words. This is what he said on First Take. He said, God, this is God ordained. God came to let me show that HBCUs are just as good and that you can go to the NFL and that you can do all things through HBCUs. He said, this is not about money for me. If you don't believe me, go on my social media. It is getting all kinds of traction. I took the clip. He said, I sit on 150 acres in a mule. This is not about Deion. This is about a message. You said that when you took it. You said that the entire time you were there your first season. When Isaiah Land, a young man who I helped with the NIL, when Isaiah Land was about to enter the transfer portal, who was the FCS reigning defensive player of the year, to go to a PWI, you typed with your thumbs, the grass is not always greener. Don't go. You can get everything you want to get from an HBCU. You told a young man that in March to go in December and do the exact same thing that you told that young man to stop. The problem is that the elders are trying to preach something that they know that to the younger generation that they don't want to do. And so what happens is it's a selfishness. Now, nobody's mad at the progression. They're mad at how he did it. That's the upset part. The upset part is that you sold them a dream that you're good enough, that we're going to build this, that I'm going to get Travis Hunter. Again, go read Travis Hunter's decommitment from Florida State. If Travis Hunter goes to Colorado, you're killing these people because everything you're showing them is that you're not good enough. Imagine, I guess the best way to tell you, Jason, because, you know, we've seen some really, really crazy stuff in the news over the last month with anti-Semitic stuff. But imagine a Jewish person being the person that come and do that to other Jews to prove that you're not greater than others. And so that's where the hurt is, and it's new. It just happened on Saturday. Of course it's going to suck. For Florida State fans, if you really want to know what HBCU people feel like, remember Jimbo? It wasn't that Jimbo could have just said, I got 75 million reasons, and my son is sick, and they specialize in what my son's sickness is. And everybody would have been like, thank you, Jimbo, for the national championship, man. We get it. Man, you know, we love you. But no, Jimbo had to not just leave, but besmirch and trash every aspect, even though he was right about some of the stuff. But he had to say the facilities aren't good enough. They're not good enough. They're not this. They're not that. It was how he left, not why he left. And it's a straw man argument when people try to go about that. Nobody's turning down $5.9 million. But you made it, you said it wasn't about the money until it became about the money. And it's cool. If he would have led with that, I don't think any people would have been kind of like, dang, we knew it was going to end, but people wouldn't be as emotional. Because, like, again, those are arguments that I see every day, and you get tired of seeing them. And it's a bunch of people who hitch their wagons to Deion doing this. But I'll say this before I get off, because this is some free. I mean, not get off, but move on from this, because this is some free game for HBCUs. Stop going for the Messiah moment. That's your fault. You should have never. I could have told you Deion was going to do this to you from jump. I've told people, you follow me, you know, there's one no that I respect that I really don't, that I respect professionally, but I don't respect personally. But go get your guys like Herm Edwards. Herm Edwards is a damn good coach. He's actually made his money, and he's about legacy at this point. You've got Hugh Jackson, who was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, who's the head coach at Grambling. Go get a Kevin Sumlin, like it's being rumored at Bethune-Cookman University. Go find guys that aren't worried about the check, but they're worried about building something, and they actually want to be there, and they have the connections to the NFL and recruiting and can develop your guys. And I think you'll find yourself in a situation where you're going to do this. And my bad. And this is the other part that I can't get over, is that people leaked this information that was some BS. And Ashley Robinson is one of the best athletic directors in the nation. Ashley Robinson is the athletic director. He's the athletic director for Jackson State. He's from Jackson, Mississippi. He was the athletic director of the year last year. And now for people to suggest that he was misappropriating funds for a football program and all these different things, when even Deion Sanders said he would not be here without making concessions to get me here. That's another part of it too, Jason, is the fact that we know about Deion. There's a Deion rule at Florida State. If Deion Sanders had to go to the PWI that he went to, he wouldn't have a degree. That's where he should have went. But he went to a HBCU that made some concessions to make sure he got his degree. Nobody would hire him to be a head coach without being an assistant. An HBCU made concessions, and a good athletic director did that to bring him there. Nobody wanted you. You said you wanted us, and you were here to stay. And then when you got on, you leave his ass for a white girl, to quote the great Kanye West. Really?
You're gonna quote?
No, I'm just saying it's the best. It's the only song I can think about. Again, it's just. And it's not even necessarily that. It's just those are all the fears that people have at these institutions. And he just literally amplified it and said, hey, yeah, what you was fearing and what you thought, yeah, all that's true. And that's the reason why that hurt. So but Deion needed to make that money.
Along those lines, but before we go here, we got a couple minutes left. Where do HBCUs go from this point? We all know that, yes, let's admit it, Deion did bring a certain media notoriety, brought more attention to both the SWAC. In turn, the MEAC got a little bit more as well. Where do schools, and we have a couple here in the state of Florida, Bethune-Cookman and FAMU, who are in the same conference as Jackson State. Where do these HBCU schools go from here?
I mean, one, tell your story. Stop letting people say Deion Sanders put HBCUs on. I'd argue that HBCUs are covered less than they were in the 90s during their heyday. BET used to have the HBCU game of the week. FAMU has, this is what used to trip me out. Who was the first HBCU on college football game day? FAMU. Yes, game day went to see Jackson State, but do you know who was at FAMU the day before? Good Morning America. Every grandma in the United States got a chance to see FAMU. They've been there twice. FAMU, it's been these classics. These things have been there. They got to start telling their own stories and stop waiting for a messiah. But like I was saying, go find guys who really want to be there and want to cut their teeth and develop and grow. And then just realize that you're no different than other FCS schools. At best, you're somebody's second option. And you're either a retread or you're that. And it's not that cats can't go to school, but until you really step up and really start, like I think Jackson State's president said, they're at 15% where alumni donate back to the school. And I get it. There are systemic things that are happening with some of the dollars. And I've had CFOs of PWIs tell me that it's darn near wrong what some of the governments do to HBCUs. But at the end of the day, if you can't, when I went to Florida, I don't know about Logan, I don't know about y'all, but when I applied for graduation, 2 weeks later, I started getting letters in the mail talking about how I could donate to alumni chapters for Florida State.
I got mine the week before when I went to get my cap and gown. It was that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It's just the thing is it's a pattern that's at other institutions, and I think that's just what they got to do. If you love it as much as you say you do, it's got to be more than going to homecoming, wearing colors, and doing other stuff, and then also welcome others to appreciate it. You should be trying to get Noel game day to make FAMU game day. it covered that. I'm not saying you should do that, Logan, but I'm just saying I wrote an article telling that every HBCU fan has a PWI that they like. Every PWI person should find an HBCU you like, and I promise you, it ain't scary. You're gonna have some of the best food you've ever eaten in your life, and for the first time, you're gonna actually sit and watch the halftime show, because the bands are the entertaining part of it. It is a cultural experience. If you're in the message board, if you want to go to FAMU's homecoming and you're afraid and you need a guide, I got you. Hit me up. I will walk you through it. We will go see the Sausage Man. We will go get a turkey leg. We will go get the big old diabetes juice. We'll go get a program and the best boiled peanuts you'll ever eat in your life. It's the only orange and green that I will wear is Florida A&M and Mandarin.
I rep this HBCU. Yes, Logan, turn Bucks game day into a Rattler game day, please.
Nah, we need a Rattler strike. Rattler strike. Mm-hmm.
That was
Deion.
That was clip that off, because I was asked about that a number of times, and I did a poor job in trying to express exactly what James just did. But obviously, he's got the credibility, the inside information, the personal stories, and everything to throw that into it. I have no issue with Deion Sanders moving on for more money, but he didn't make it about the money. He expressed a lot of things that he supposedly was more interested in and more invested in, and that didn't turn out to be the case.
But I think James hit the nail on the head, and we can talk about family, because we are all FSU grads. We are family. This is not a shocker. Deion has always been about him. And people in Fort Myers, people in Tallahassee, we all know who Deion is. Anyone who's had a chance to interview Deion or met Deion knows exactly who Deion is. And it's not Coach Prime, it's Deion. It's Deion Sanders. You're not Coach Prime. Your name is Deion Sanders.
He's prime buff right now. That's what he is, I guess.
Well, he's going to be prime 3-9.
That schedule, man. I saw you got a man. Woo. Shoot, man. You got some. Coming Matt Rule, TCU. Like, again, like people like he's going to be great. I'm like, dog.
He's going to be prime 3-9. 3-9.
That's a 3-9 that's a good year with that schedule.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry, Charles Kelly's there to be the defensive coordinator. Everything's gonna be all right.
Well, we all know.
Willie Taggart's there too. Willie Taggart came in. David Kelly, and we know some of those names.
A reunion. all the ones that couldn't work out here for too long. They're doing Deion.
Wow.
Colorado and Boulder.
All right, well, you go start Rattler game day, and let's do this again next week.
Rattler RG.
All right, we dropped James' Twitter link in the chat, and of course, follow all of us on Twitter. But James has some actual meaningful things going on that people should be locked in on and supporting. Absolutely. One more time, James. Best place to find you, good things that people need to be involved in and supporting you on.
At Big Game James _36 on IG and Twitter. Those are the best ways to follow me. It's gonna be sports takes, and there'll be some good debates, and it's also random. So don't get emotional. I love tangible arguments. I love great disagreements, but the bigger thing that I love is giving back to the community. We gave away I think 3,600 book bags this year, and those kids got a chance to participate in the gifts for good grades. So we have kids who have submitted wish lists. They made good grades, or they showed marked improvement in their not just academics, but in their personal lives at the school, and the principals recommended it. So each kid gets about $30. There's Amazon wish list, because I get how people get with giving money. I personally rather you just go buy it off the Amazon link, or you could donate $30 to money sign MFTK 36 or at mftkfoundation.com on your PayPal, and all that stuff is in my pin suite. So I love doing this, kind of be Santa Claus. I did a lot of bad this year, so I got to do some good.
Logan, one more time.
Nothing much. Just live in about an hour, 8:00, talking transfer portal, all this kind of stuff. So, and we'll see in the Discord too. So,
yeah,
just busy all around right now. Busy.
We've got your evening all mapped out for you, everyone. Join us on the Miami channel here for an hour, and then jump on Logan's.
Can't wait till you talk about Miami's ball again. Oh wait, that's right.
Oh,
Hey.
yeah. Don't see the Miami fans in the comments anymore. That was a fun run.
Oh, guys, 9 wins, scattered them.
Thoughts
And 45-3, that pretty much did it.
Yeah,
No doubt about that.
they'll show back up soon with one more. They'll get a commit, and they'll be back in the chat soon.
The U is back to not being bowl eligible.
All right, Jason, James, Logan, I appreciate you guys. You guys make this thing work. It's not me. So thanks for showing up every week. And when we've got all 3 of you, man, it's phenomenal. So thank you.
Good stuff.
We'll see everybody back here next Wednesday at 6. Bring somebody with you.
And brain Cheez-Its.